All right, next up, we have we're going to be talking about security incidents for DevOps, and presenting that is Tanya, who is the CEO and founder at SheHacksPurple. But I'll allow Tanya to come on and introduce herself because I know she mentioned she has some fun way of doing that. So take it away, Tanya.
Thank you, Brian. Are you able to see my slides? If you could just say yes, then
Yes,
I'm
we're all
good.
set.
Awesome. Okay, so I want to talk about incident response today. And so I'm Tanya. I'm also known as SheHacksPurple, but basically I'm pretty much obsessed with application security. When you do AppSec, you end up doing incident response. You don't mean to, you didn't volunteer for it, but it just happens. Something gets attacked and it's a piece of software, and the incident response team's usually like, oh no, let's go get the AppSec nerds. And that is me. And so I want to talk about what you as a software developer or a DevOps person can do to make sure incident response is basically like a lot less bad. So incident response for devs, for DevOps folks too, incident response for everyone. Okay, so what the heck is incident response, Tanya? Okay, so technically it is an organized approach to addressing and managing the aftermath of a security breach or some sort of IT security incident. So your website goes down, there's a whole bunch of things that basically everything's gone wrong. You're really upset. Usually one of the CIA, so confidentiality, integrity, availability, or something else of one of your systems that you're in charge of is having a bad day. And so the goal is to handle the situation in a way where you limit damage, you reduce cost, you get back up and running as soon as possible. And ideally, it's not humiliating for your organization. So you might have seen situations where you thought it was an incident, but it was actually a security event. So a security event basically is when something weird has happened or is happening, and you're not quite sure if it's a security incident, but you're like, I gotta check this out. Well, a security incident is when you are certain that something is or has happened that is bad. So an example would be if you find your data for sale on the dark web. That is a security incident, and that has happened to me, and that was a really bad day. I want to give a very quick trigger warning. So one of the examples I'm going to give is a story where something bad happens to children. I'm not going to tell it in a graphic manner. I'm not going to embellish it at all. But the purpose of the story is to drive home why you need to do number 5 of the 5 things I'm going to list. So if you might get upset if you're a more sensitive individual, and I am a sensitive individual, so I get it, feel free to just come back for the next talk. I don't want to upset anyone. Okay, so your org needs your app secured. Devs are the first line of defense. You are way ahead of the AppSec people because there's somewhere between 100 and 500 of you for every one of me. And so without your buy-in, I cannot do this. And if something happens, sometimes I really, really need your help. And so I want to ask for 5 things. And I'm asking for every AppSec team, for all devs, this is what I would like. So security incidents. So I'm going to go over the 5 things. So basically 1, your role during an incident, what I need from you is if the security, like tell us if you see something. Tell us if something's weird. I don't care if you give me 9 false alarms in a row. I'd rather have you call me and say, a whole bunch of USB keys just went missing and I'm kind of freaking out. I'd rather have you tell me this. I go and investigate. I find out nothing's actually wrong. That makes my day. I like it when nothing happened that's bad. It was much better than you feeling too afraid to tell me. So for instance, if your APIs keep falling down over and over and over again, you get a gigantic cloud bill you don't understand. Like things that seem weird, please tell us. We'll help. I'm not kidding. And I've never seen a security person get angry with someone who tried to report something that they thought was weird and asked for help. I've never seen that. We might get stressed out if there's 400 other things happening, but I'd much, much rather have a whole bunch of false alarms than miss a really important thing. Okay, so the next thing, please don't leave during a security incident if we've asked for your help. So sometimes a security incident is happening and it's your app. It's your app that's been attacked or is currently being attacked. And we'll tell you like, listen, we're investigating a security incident. something that's happening with your software that you're in charge of, as far as we know. I need your help. And we'll ask you questions, and we'll ask you to make some time for us, and we'll ask you like just to be involved and follow like these 5 things. And please don't leave. This might sound so ridiculous, but I was actively working on an app that was actively being attacked. So it had cross-site scripting, all sorts of attacks were like happening live. And I was talking to the dev, and we were working on it. We were trying really hard to push out a fix as soon as possible. Like literally, I was freaking out. And then my boss's boss comes to me and is like, I need an update for the director general now. So I left. Yeah, the dev went and took a bus home. Didn't leave me a phone number. I was just like, screwed. And my boss was so angry with me. You didn't tell him not to leave. I'm like, I thought it would be really obvious, like malicious act. And I didn't even know how to turn the app off. And so that obviously was like a really, really bad day for me and my team. And so please don't leave the premises if we've tapped you to help without telling me. Like he could have just given me his phone number and that would have been fine. But this is the next one. So please treat it like the emergency that it is. Like it's nice that you have lunch plans, but this might be the end of the world for us. Like your other work stops, your other deadlines stop. If your boss is hassling you, I will go talk to them and I will explain like our entire company needs this person for the next few hours. It's extraordinarily important. I'll give them the briefest minimum information that they need because of number 4, which is in the next slide, but we will cover for you. We need your help. You're the expert. If your app is being attacked, you probably know it way better than our team does. And so please treat it like the emergency it is and prioritize it. Follow need to know. You do not need to give every single detail to your boss, even if your boss is super curious and thinks it's cool. You can blame it on me. Totally blame it on me. Be like, Tanya's so mean. She said I'm not allowed telling you. She seems pretty scary. Don't run around and tell people. I kid you not. I was working at a place that will remain unnamed, and I had to go to the dentist. So I really like my teeth. So I go to the dentist at least once a year, usually twice a year. I really like not having cavities. And anyway, so I was at the dentist. Everyone knew I was at the dentist. My whole team knew. And a help desk person had decided that he was going to manage a security incident. And so I come in and my team's like, run to the big room, the big meeting room, all the executives, their hair is on fire, everything bad's happening. And so basically this help desk person decided to try to manage this thing themselves. They thought that a dumb building, not a smart building, had malware. Really, it was just a bunch of Canadians watching the Olympics because figure skating was on, and that is our jam. As a nation, we really, really like ice skating. And anyway, I knew that because I do this work, right? So immediately I'm like, is this the Olympics again? But meanwhile, he had told all the executives, he had all of them panicking. They're like, are people in that building safe? I'm like, well, I don't know if Canada's going to win or not this year, but like otherwise we're pretty safe. Like, and so everyone started telling everyone. Because at the beginning of an incident, the first thing I say is, I want you to go over what need to know means. Don't run around and tell everyone. Only tell people if they must know. Don't tell your friends. Don't tell your admin assistant. Don't tell your mom, even though your mom's probably awesome. Please follow need to know and only tell the people who actually need to know. Okay, so the last one, do not try to manage the incident yourself and be a hero. And I know I gave the example previously of the guy that thought a building made of concrete in the 80s was infected with malware. I'm like, concrete doesn't get malware. That was like a silly story compared to, so one of my friends and colleagues and person I deeply respect, he taught me incident response. And he told me, he's like, I always go over this with help desk. I always teach this to sysadmins. I teach this to everyone. And it's because when I was doing incident response at a place, a help desk person decided to take it upon themselves to respond to an incident. And they found images of child abuse. And unfortunately, in doing so, they ruined the entire chain of custody. And the person who committed this awful crime went free. His colleague, this help desk person, ended up being in therapy for years. First of all, from being exposed to things he should never, ever, ever have seen, but also because this criminal went free, who should be locked away for the end of time. And so Us security folks, especially those of us with incident response training, not only can we ensure we don't ruin the chain of custody, so criminals get what they deserve, but we know how to make sure we don't accidentally stumble upon something like that. We know how to manage these situations differently. And we also are prepared to carry this heavy emotional task if we have to. That's not your job. If you do help desk, you do software development, it doesn't matter. That's not your job. And I remember when I started in security in 2007, I did anti-terrorism activities and I ended up in therapy because that is really hard when like hundreds of lives depend on your everyday work. And so I left security, went back to software development, and then eventually went to security again and learned there's less scary jobs out there. I don't want any of you to have to carry this. It's not your job. It's not your responsibility, and it's not fair. And so please don't be a hero. Call us in so we can handle it and we can make sure everything goes smoothly, everyone is protected, and you don't end up in a situation you should never have been in. And so if you wanted to take a screenshot of a slide, this would be the slide. These are the 5 things I really, 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 really want you to know. And while you're taking a screenshot of this slide briefly, I'm going to tell you a funny story to bring things up on a lighter note before I give you some free resources. So one of the times I was doing incident response, we got sent a thing from the social media team and someone had made a comment about our company. And our company was bilingual because we're Canadian, so we would do everything in French and English. Our website was in French and English. And basically there was a survey and the person had tweeted a screenshot of our website and it said, are you a man or are you a wife? Do you like this or are you sex? And it was very confusing. And we looked on our website, clearly it was fine. And they're like, you have 14 minutes. All the C-level executives are freaking out. The media is calling us. Everyone's like, how dare you be so insensitive? Like, if you're a man or a wife, you can't just be a woman, blah, blah, blah. You don't even cover non-binary. You guys are so insensitive. And it turned out that a person who's not good at the internet had just gone to our website in French. Google had offered to translate it. The word in French for like femme means woman or wife. So it chose wife. And all of the different insensitivities were just Google doing a bad job of translating because of a lack of context. And so then I was asked, so in 14 minutes, we investigated, we figured it out. I'm like, we're totally awesome. This is great. And then they're like, Tanya, write a note for the media that we can give. And I was like, okay, here we go. Dear so-and-so, I'm sorry that you are not smart enough to use the internet. Your life must be very difficult. They're like, get out of here, get out of here. And then I was never asked to write media relation articles again. So it was great. Everyone won. And so with that, I want to ask you very briefly to tell the AppSec team. So if you don't know, ask the security team. If at work they don't know, come to the SheHacksPurple community, which is free, and ask us. We have an entire volunteer moderation team who all happen to be awesome AppSec professionals, and we obsessively love solving problems together. It is your security team. It is your security team's job to enable you to do your job securely. And so now we have a few resources. So first of all, awesome books. The first 4 books are about DevOps, which I love. And the last book I wrote, and me and my mom think it's the best book ever written. My dad also says it's in his top 5. Every Monday on Twitter and now on Mastodon, on infosec.exchange, I run Cyber Mentoring Monday. And so if you're looking for a professional mentor in cybersecurity, or if you want to give back to our industry and take someone under your wing, please check out this hashtag so we can find someone for you. All the time, 24/7, SheHacksPurple community is open and free. We're full of courses, we're full of events, we're full of hangouts, we're full of book recommendations if you like sci-fi. We have a memes channel, and it is a safe place with a code of conduct and a whole bunch of volunteers and just friendly faces. And so if you want to join us, we'd love to have you. And lastly, resource me. I tweet and, oh my gosh, Mastodon toot. I can't say that. I have a blog, I have a YouTube, I have a newsletter. I do all sorts of things. And I am here to be a nerd on the internet with you. And with that, I forgot to mention Bright Security. I work there. I want to say thank you very much for having me to DevSecCon. And I'm wondering if we have 2 seconds to ask any questions. Thank you all so much for attending my very short talk.
We do have a few seconds in case there are any questions. I don't see any in the chat at the moment, but maybe Micah or Eric, any questions for Tanya? Quick.
That was amazing. I'm still processing.
I actually have like many more stories. And so I teach secure coding all the time. And usually the last half hour to hour of the day, we just go over all the ways. And usually there's a ton of incidents they've had that they didn't realize. And so they finally start reporting them. And life's better.
I appreciated the way you handled that very sensitive subject in there. I know how hard that can be. As an airline employee from years ago, there are things that airlines have to deal with that are hellaciously tragic. And yeah,
I can only imagine.
Yeah, it's a tough world.
Yeah. And it's important that people that are prepared to do those tough jobs do them, as opposed to someone that has no idea and could like really fall down a slippery slope they never intended to be on.
All right, I have one question for you, and then we'll have to break and go to the next session. Did the Canadian ice skating team win in that story?
So honestly, I'm not sure. So it was the Winter Olympics, and like I know we placed somewhere, but I don't know if we were like gold, silver, or bronze. But yeah, it turned out it was just every single person watching the Olympics from their desk. And usually we know Canadians that really dig this. So usually what we do is we have like a boardroom in each building. And we're like, if you're going to watch the Olympics, go to the boardroom, don't stream it from your desk. But some big up boss for that building was like, you have to take vacation time if you want to see our stars do their thing. And so just like every single person, there was at least 300 or 400 computers all watching the same video. And yeah, we figured out what happened really fast.
Oh man, I love the stories. Yeah,
but seriously, for 6 months, people would be like, "Did you know that there's a building that has malware?" And I'd be like,
"Yeah." Nice. Well, thanks so much, Tanya. Those stories are great. The presentation was great, and thank you for being here.
My pleasure. See you next time.